Hello, everybody. It is Tanya Williams here, author of A Childfree Happily Ever After and founder of Childfree magazine. And look who I'm talking to today, the fabulous and amazing Marcia Drut-Davis, child-free icon, advocate, author, and everything in between. I had the pleasure of meeting this gorgeous lady in New York, well, about 18 months ago. And let me tell you, if I am anything like you at your age, I will be very, very happy. You continue to inspire and motivate me and so many other people every day in the work that you have done and continue to do. So I just love having these conversations. So thank you for being part of this conversation today.
Oh my God, it's my joy. You know what? If we can find some more of us, to continue and to feel the pride that you and I know,
Yeah,
that's my
yeah.
goal.
Awesome. So would you like to explain a bit more to people who maybe have been living under a rock and don't know who you are? Who are
Well,
you and what you're about?
I go back to the days of the dinosaurs in the
Not
year
quite then.
1974. I read this book. I don't know if you can see it, The Baby Trap.
Yep.
And although it's an old copy, this was Ellen. It's not a very good picture of her. And I finished this book and I just handed it to my then husband. And we both just devoured it together. And we finally said, oh God, it's great. We don't have to have children. And at the end of the book, it said, if you want to meet more people, and I did, because I thought I was the only person on this planet, come into New York and we're going to have a meeting and blah, blah, blah. And that's how it started. So that night, 60 Minutes was taping her and the meeting. And the next thing you know, I get approached by a producer saying, I understand you haven't told your in-laws yet that you plan on not having children. Do you mind if we come along? And being very naive and very stupid, shoot me now, he said, sure, come along. And that was the start that led me to you and to the people who are listening, because from that moment, I knew, oh my goodness, what's the big deal? You say you don't want to have kids, and the next thing you know, I faced death threats. I faced picketing with signs that said, godless bitch. I was in terror. So much so that it almost stopped me from walking forward until I said, no. Too many people out there that should not have to have this. I lost my job.
Imagine going through that. That is just
15 years I couldn't teach.
wow.
Do you know what that does to a pension? 15 years, no teaching.
Yeah.
So yeah, that led me to you.
And of course, you've written 2 books in the meantime.
Yes, by the way, we authors are always so proud to say that. 2 books. Numero uno, which tells my journey and explains that I was married 3 times. Do not judge me. There are reasons.
No judgment.
And then book number 2, this is all about rejection. What? You don't want kids? You don't want children? And I was amazed by this book myself, because the research internationally and what goes on in other countries will blow you apart. Blow you apart. If you're angry now at what we see here, you just can't imagine Nigeria, Greece. I mean, you're soulless in Greece if you have no children.
Oh, yeah, I mean, exactly. When you do that research and you find out how hard it is or how much worse it is for people in countries like that, it makes me angry. Like, I just get so infuriated by it and go, we need to change this, because women need to be able to have a voice around their choice. So let's talk about, so you've written an article called Are We There Yet for Childfree magazine, which was
Are we there yet?
Are we there yet? And look, it's a big question to ask, and it's an important question to ask, because you've been paving the way for so many years. And then, over the years, we've had, people like Laura Carroll, and we've had Therese and Maxine doing movies, and like, there's all these people that are coming out. We've got groups now. We've got all this conversation happening, which is fantastic. But it's like, how much progress are we making? So do you want to share with people what the article was about? And then let's dive a little bit deeper into the progress we've made and what we still need to do.
Sure. Well, I mean, one of the questions that I'm constantly asking myself is, how much longer do I have to walk the walk, talk the talk on this journey? You know, it's been 46 going on 47 years.
Wow.
And a quick answer to that question, are we there yet? I love that, because that's the kind of thing we won't get, because we don't have children sitting in the back of our car.
Yes. Although I do
There's-
say that to my husband when we're traveling as well.
Oh, I do too. It's true. It's good. It's good. But the quick answer is yes and no. And I'm sorry to say the no is a loud and profound no, in my opinion. There are others who may say, what, are you kidding? Look at all the changes. If I go back to reading The Baby Trap, and then go back to even my book or your book, you and I and Laura Carroll and Dr. Blackstone and all the beautiful human beings on this planet who've written so many books talk about the same thing over and over. Rejection,
Judge,
working,
criticism.
military, family, friends, the same questions I've heard for 46 years.
Yep.
So it's yes and no, because there is a yes. And there has been a slight shift. You do see more people talking. Look how many books are out there now. Look how many podcasts. Look how many people on Instagram all of a sudden. And now even tangentially, you're getting the Childfree by Fate, who are becoming a part of the Childfree by Choice. And it's working.
Yeah.
You know, we're helping each other. There's been a little bit of a shift.
Yeah, I think we've made progress in that respect, in that a lot of child-free people now know that there's communities and there's things online and there's books and they can see that they're not alone. So I think that's been a huge amount of progress. I think where our progress has stopped or is certainly slow is in the acceptance part in communities and society and that sort of stuff. So we've come a long way, and we're certainly getting it out there, and some of us are more vocal than others about it, obviously. But because I know some people are still afraid, they're still getting pressured from family. And I've spoken to people and said, I'm happy to share my story, but I want it to be anonymous because I'm scared of the fallout. You suffered that, firsthand exactly what that's about. But I think opening up the conversation is paving the way for future progress as well.
Well, that's the main thing. That's why we do what we do. I will continue doing it and hope that we find others that continue doing it. Yep. But there's also, Tanya, what do you think about this? I've seen a difference between those that live in a city versus those that live in a suburb. A city has more opportunity to meet child-free people.
Yeah.
There's just something about it. But you live in the suburb of, Little League and school events, and everything is surrounding children. It's very hard. And I still have people who say, I think I'm the only person in this entire area. Yeah. And I doubt that, but maybe they are.
You're right. I think that's true. When you talk to people, a lot of the people that do feel really alone and isolated and think they're the only one are from these little tiny, communities, where the communities are family focused and everything is built around the family unit of mum, dad, and 2.5 kids. And that's where I think what's happening online and the communities and the online communities and groups are helping those people go, I actually feel like I'm part of something elsewhere. But it does make it hard for them day to day when they're actually living and breathing in these pro-natalist societies that are just very unaccepting of their choice and continue to pressure and so forth. And I think, as we can educate them on how to help them manage that, I think that's part of our role.
And I think also for the people who are in those suburbs who have so many friends who are having children. Even in the first documentary, To Kid or Not to Kid, I was interviewed about that. My best friend of 46 years has 2 sons, 3 grandchildren. We have never separated. And because that's a real love, that's a real heart connection. And, and I knew there were times that the babysitter wouldn't show up, or one of the kids would throw up and they couldn't come and see us. But I knew that. And so we would go out for dinner and say, well, we'll see you next week, or let's try for next weekend. And there was that reciprocal respect of my choice and her choice.
Yeah.
And those are the friends you need to find.
Exactly. I can totally relate to that. One of my best friends lives in Cairns. She has 4 children. I remember telling her when she rang me about the 4th one, I said, honey, I love you, but you're freaking crazy. But, when we laughed about it and I said, oh, well, as long as you're happy, honey, that's all I care about. And we have been friends for 20 years. We support each other. She's really mindful of that. She's actually funny when I go out and visit her. She's really worried about the kids bothering me and stuff. And I'm like, that's fine. It's a novelty for me as well. But we respect each other's choices and we allow for that. I know that there's times where she can't ring me back immediately because of kids stuff and whatever. And that's fine. Like, I get it.
Right.
I think, mums can be friends with non-mums, but we just
Right.
need to be respectful of each other's life choices.
Right.
And that's how it works. You can't just go, well, I'm the mother, so you just come to me. And it's just like,
Right.
no, it doesn't work like that.
I think you may find in those friends that have children who have there's nothing else in their lives. It's those children. It could wear you down as far as conversations. But when you find friends who read, who watch a British movie or can discuss with you something that's happening in the news, they also hunger not to talk about the poopy diapers or the kid that's throwing up or whatever. So it's important to find those kind of friendships, a little bit of everything, I think, but it's not always that easy. I mean, you can go online, but when you see somebody, when you and I saw each other in New York, it was a lot different than this, although I love this.
Yeah.
Because you're already in, what is it, Wednesday there, and I'm in Tuesday.
We're a day apart.
Do you remember the joy of being with that group?
Yeah.
Just one time, all those people that were there.
Yeah,
it's
it was great. And having such a big thing in common and being able to talk about, and no one asking, where are your kids or how many kids do you have? It was so refreshing. I mean, you've, as you said, you've been going through this for like nearly 47 years. What's been your biggest challenge over the years? Like, obviously you've dealt with so many different things, but
I know the answer. I got the answer. You're not going to love this, but here it is. People from within the movement. There is a group of snarky, angry, I call them purists.
Yep. Okay. Yep.
You know what I'm going to say.
Yes.
And I have been called a sham, a phony, probably lower than the snail at the bottom of the ocean, because I dared to admit that I once was a stepmom. It ended dramatically, terribly, but because I once mentioned that I tried being a stepmom, and in my definition of a stepmom is at best, you try to be a friend to these kids.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it didn't work, and it didn't even work for my husband, who hasn't spoken to his kids in 21 years. Oh. But these people are out to get me. Even on in Amazon, there is a screenshot of one paragraph I wrote about, I think it says, I am a mom, and see, she's a liar. I know.
People like that are just haters. You can't. That's on them. That's on them, not on you. Because people that know your story and know what you're about and know what you've done, don't like that's. It's a label. I remember Lacey Pruitt, who wrote one. She wrote an article for the magazine about that. She's a stepmom, but she's child-free by choice. And she said, people want to label me and say, but you're this and you're that, and you're not a mom, but you. So she said, I'm just sick of it. Why do I have to just be labeled in a particular way? She said, I'm child-free by choice, even though I have stepchildren that, say, are part of my life. And people get caught up in these ridiculous labels anyway.
Well, have some fun and read the review. I mean, she even took another screenshot of when I mentioned that pronatalistic moment when I saw my friend holding a baby to her breast, and I went to myself, oh, maybe I am missing something. That's the only thing she put in, out of context to what I explained about what pronatalism does to you at different times of your life. That was missing. So yes, the biggest challenge is within the movement, and at a time when we need to gather together on force and be out there to support and to defend, not necessarily defend, but to educate what this means. Here we are fighting each other. It's like a microcosm of this planet, you
I would
know?
say she probably has plenty of her own issues by the sound of it. If that's all she's got to do, that's all she's worried about. She probably needs to be
It's
herself.
it's a serious, I mean, Reddit, she's all over Reddit on me. There was another site that wouldn't allow me on because they called me a phony and a sham. And that I'm only out for, oh, this is my favorite. I'm only out for money from the books.
And I can vouch as a fellow author that we make money from these damn books.
Listen, if I had written Confessions of an Aging Woman, 50 Shades of Fun, and had the whole thing of sexual exploitation in here, I think I'd be running to the bank.
Yeah.
Confessions of a Child-Free Woman? Meh.
No, people forget, especially when they buy books on Amazon, that we get like this much of what they paid for. So we've written a book, and that's why I say to people, buy direct, because we actually make a little bit of money from it then.
That's so true.
People think, oh, you've written a book, like you're rolling it. Yeah, no, I'm still
editors, book, the cover, you have to, extra. People have no clue. Thousands. Yeah, I'm running to the bank with my book. I just gave one to my hairdresser today. How many have you just given?
I know. Yes, us fellow authors understand. Okay, so look, I'd like to know, and I get we have a lot of these conversations around women and women's choices, but obviously there's a lot of child-free men out there as well. And I know often I'll default in conversation and talk about women because we're the majority, or we're the most prominent, I suppose. But what part do you think men have to play in this whole conversation? Because I think men tend to not be as vocal in general. I mean, there's some that are, but I know my husband, he doesn't talk about it. It's not a thing. Like it is what it is. Do we, I think we need men to be more vocal about it, but what part do you see men as playing in this whole child-free conversation?
Well, more and more, they are stepping up to the plate. On the last cruise I hosted, we had a man who was my guest speaker, and he poured his heart out about what he had to put up with when it was, and by the way, sad to say, his wife just tragically died. I don't know what happened to her, but he lost his beloved wife. It was awful. She wasn't on the cruise because at the time she got very seasick, so she couldn't go on the cruise. But he spoke from his heart. In fact, it was from the heart of the man, of what was expected of him as a man to carry on the bloodline. Well, what if you have daughters? Well, you just keep trying to carry on the bloodline. Yeah. And how much he felt uncomfortable at business when the family man got raised above him because they had children to take care of, even though his worth was way above the person that got moved up in the ladder, so to speak. Yeah. And I think I think that more and more when women start dating and they're out right out front saying, I just want to let you know up front, I don't have any plans on having children. Very often I've seen two things happen. They go, I'll change your mind. Yep. Only to find out that they don't. Yep. And then sad to say, there's a parting of the ways. Yeah. But they are becoming more vocal. As vocal as women? No, not yet. But very slowly, I see it change. Do you? I'm
seeing more child-free men pop up in groups. I'm seeing more of them comment on my things on social media as well. And I think it's fantastic. I would, and I know that I've found it hard to find men that want to talk about it, because when I've been doing things and I've been looking for men's voices on stuff, a lot of them are a bit like, oh, yeah, and not quite sure. But I do find that more of them are popping up, which I think is fantastic. So I'd love to see more child-free men being part of the conversation and saying, hey, this is my journey. This is what we've experienced from a male perspective as well, because certainly we know what it's like from a female perspective in the workplace, out of the workplace, in society, etc.
I totally agree with you on that. I think more and more we're beginning to see them owning it, not being so fearful of it, and yet there's a way to go.
Yeah. So what do you think we still need to do then? So I was in a clubhouse a few weeks ago with a few of the other child-free girls around the world, and we were talking about this fact about these conversations with parents. And I think that's one place that we can really maybe start to open up conversation more with people who are parents to help them understand. And not necessarily have this divide between the child free versus the non-child free. I think there's this big divide still. And I know through talking to some of my friends who are parents who have said to me, oh my God, Tan, like, I'm so glad that you raised that point of that conversation. I hadn't thought of that before. That's going to make me think twice now about the conversation that I'm having with my daughter. So I think it's important that
beautiful.
Yeah, and I think that, and if we can do that, then we've achieved something because we've made some progress. Where, one of my friends in particular said, I'd never thought about the conversations I was having with my daughter. Now she's in her teens at the moment, and her daughter will say, oh, when I grow up and have kids or whatever, and she go, hang on, you might not have children. So if you have children, then that's, might
If
happen.
you can have children,
Yes.
how many can't?
I want you to know you have a choice. And I
Mhm.
think that's the thing that mums need to give their children permission to know that they have a choice around what they do. And I think that's a really important conversation.
Right. Oh my gosh, it's so important. That's important. And of course, a whole other topic is education, where, I mean, they'll teach you how to put a condom on a banana, but God forbid you say anything about choices, about whether or not to have children. Like, no way, you can't go near that.
Yeah.
I think those are two important things for sure.
So
For
what,
sure.
what else do you think we still need to do?
That we need to do?
Yeah, that all of us as child, whether you're child free or you're not child free, but certainly within the child community, what can we do?
You know what I've learned over the wisdom of aging? Stop defending. What are we defending? Why are we defending?
Yeah.
We should be as tall and proud as a parent. And if you start to get this conversation, I call it the dysfunctional cha-cha-cha, right?
I love that.
Right, cha-cha-cha. You're wrong, cha-cha-cha. I'm right. And you get nowhere. Push, pull, push, pull. Both of you at the end are exhausted and you just want to go home and have a drink. I mean, here's the thing. I teach people now if they start in with the pressure, and it happens, to say, oh, so you're really happy being a parent? Well, yeah, you have no idea what love is until you have a child. That's one of my favorite ones. And then, you know what? I used to start defending and saying, well, really? I have a dog. You try having a dog too. And I mean, it was insane. Yeah. Now I say, I'm so happy you're happy. And I hope you're happy for me, because I want to be as happy. I'm as proud to be child free as you're proud of being a parent. And I just wish you the world.
Yeah.
Shut up. Because to keep on going, you're going to lose, both of you.
Yeah.
And you get exhausted dancing. It's just like endless.
Yeah.
Stop the band, stop the music, I'm done.
And I think as well,
parents seem to feel, like they have the right to say how wonderful and everything they love about it, but dare we say anything? So why even go there? Exactly. And if it keeps on going, just say, I gotta end this right here. And I love you, I wish you well. Turn around and walk away and giggle, because you're going home to a lifestyle that is yummy. And some of them will have a lovely lifestyle. I am never going to say anything about parents that love it. And I have many friends who are exemplary, amazing parents. But let's face it, for us, we're going home and we're going to have a very lovely evening doing whatever the hell we want to do.
Yes. And look, I think what you said there, I mean, there's got to be this mutual respect, as we touched on before, because one of the things that I hate seeing in some of these groups, I just find very toxic, because they talk about crotch droppings and breeders and all these terms, which I just think
I love that one, crotch droppers.
They're so horrible, and they're disrespectful. And my thing is, well, how can they respect you and your choice if you don't respect them and their choice?
Exactly. I have like 5 different sites on Facebook. My administrators know that that's forbidden, absolutely forbidden. I do not like to hear or read horrible language, accusations. It's just not allowed. And boy, they take this on like it's their mission. It's like,
Yeah.
can't say that.
No, well, I
Don't
mean, it's a fair point, and that's part of the education process, not just to outside of the child-free community, but inside the child-free community, and go, come on, guys,
yes,
like you can't
yes.
expect someone to accept and respect you if you don't do the same to them. I mean, Jesus.
I know, I know. The ones that absolutely hate kids, okay, that's fine. And the ones that get very offended when you say, well, I can't stand kids. You know what this is all about? Again, instead of dividing,
Yeah,
accepting. And why is one better than the other? As long as they don't hurt kids. I am not, about hurting or
yeah,
harming children in any way, shape, or form.
yeah,
But my goodness gracious, we are child free.
yeah,
It doesn't have to be yours, mine is better. It's the same nonsense with parents.
yeah.
Ew.
And look,
All
we
the
just need to
years.
accept that we can have different opinions. I'm
Yes,
sure that, if we sat down and spoke for hours and hours, there'll be stuff that we don't agree on. There'll be stuff that other people don't agree on. And you don't
of
have to agree on everything.
of
And we'll just
course.
go, that's fine. That's your opinion. That's my opinion. We can all still happily live and have conversations and be respectful of each other. We don't all have to agree on the exact same stuff. And I think we need to let
Yeah,
go of some of that as well, because people go, oh my God, they didn't agree with me. Oh my, you're cut off. And it's just like, oh, it's so ridiculous.
I know.
Yeah.
It's sad. But, like it goes back to what we started with, that even within the movement, look what goes on.
Yeah.
It's the anger issue is ridiculous. And I've never seen it like this as bad with I'm right and you're wrong.
Yeah.
That's
Oh,
it.
and I think that's where you just need to push back and go, well, I can be the bigger person and say, well, that's fine. Your opinion. I've got my opinion. It's all good. We can, life still goes on.
What would happen if we all agreed on everything boring except peace? Peace. I'd say peace.
Yeah. Yeah. So, how far do you think we can go in the next sort of 20, 25 years? What is it that we
Let's see,
need?
how old will I be in 25 years?
Well, you may not be here. You might still be here. You might still be here.
If I'm here, I'll be fighting. I'm telling you.
I know you will be. I know you will.
Not you will be for me.
But do you how much growth do you and progress do you think we can realistically make?
It's so difficult for me to see ahead because of what I've seen looking back.
Yeah.
Here I am 46, 47 years later. Do I hope, that we're more accepted and the choices are more readily available? Of course. Do I hate the idea of waiting another 20 years and seeing 98 and looking back and going, oh, shit, nothing happened? Are you kidding me? It's like, but I think the more that you speak and I speak and people read your book and my book and the
Other groups and
documentaries,
books and everything. Yeah.
it is becoming more and more of a topic,
Yeah.
although we're far from being equal to parents.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting when you look at the stats. So close to 1 in 4 women in OECD countries are choosing not to. But I read some stats from the Australian Bureau of Statistics when I wrote the book and also recently when I was doing some work. And they're saying that within the next decade, child-free families will overtake people with children. So I was like, yeah. Yeah, so I class myself as a family, even though I don't have children.
Absolutely, that's what it is.
That's what I mean. So they're saying that child-free people or households will actually overtake those without children. And I think, oh my God, in the next decade, if we can see that, that will be amazing, because then we will be a force to be reckoned with, where people go, oh wow, we are actually being outnumbered. And I think that's when real change can start to happen in society, when people start to see this shift.
You know what? Some of my biggest sales have been in India.
Yeah.
Hello?
The whole movement in India. Yeah.
They're absorbing it. They're like, it's, and there's so many organizations like, I mean, I don't know the name of it in India, but
there's one called Free India who's very vocal on Instagram in particular. Yeah.
Right. There's another one that's so darling. I want to meet her one day, but they really are becoming more.
Yeah.
Is it a harder struggle? Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
Yeah, it's so ingrained in their culture. It's such a traditional culture. It's such a male dominated culture, like so many of those types of cultures, that it's going to take a long time. But there's this, it feels almost like an underground movement where they're all going, hey, yeah, like I want to be part of this, but they're still a bit scared to be really vocal
Well,
about
some of them have a right to be scared.
Yeah,
Some
exactly.
people have a right to be scared.
Yeah,
I mean, you could be killed.
yeah,
There are armed killings for what I would consider even less than this.
yeah,
You know, we're lucky we were born here,
yeah.
or there, where you are tomorrow. So
Yeah,
hard to
and that, and one of the things I think is great about it, and one of the things I want to see, and I'm trying to build this thing called the choice movement, about, we all have choices, and we have a right to have a choice, is educating these women in third world countries, in poorer countries, that to this day don't understand that they actually have a choice. So I think it would be amazing to collaborate with communities in those countries to help these women and educate these women around what that looks like, and the fact that they hopefully can have a choice around what they do with their own bodies. Because I just, and Teresa and I were having this conversation around the whole abortion issue and pro-choice and all this sort of stuff, the fact that there is just so much struggle for women who just don't have access to some of the most basic things. So, and that's in
and
the US. That's not even a third world country. We're talking about in the US. It's crazy.
some don't even know about contraceptives. They don't even know that they can have that.
We need to educate.
I mean, when you think about some of the areas where the first time they even learn that a baby comes out from them, it's like they don't know. I mean, we're talking about, here it is 2021. We talk about 46 years and 20 years more to go. Wow.
Yeah.
5 years. I don't know.
Okay. What's next for Marcia? Is there going to be another book?
No,
Plans?
no. Although I said to Jim the other day, a children's book.
I love that. An adult's children's book, maybe.
Maybe you and I should get together and do that.
A children's book for adults. There you go. I love that.
I love it.
Yeah.
I'm still, Tanya, I still do every day. I mean, if you have a passion like I have, and you wake up in the morning like you do and say, we got to reach more people today. There's going to be another person. I'm going to speak to Tanya and she's going to speak to other people. And yes, it's something so worthwhile, especially as you age, to have a cause, a passion, whatever it is. Doesn't have to be just, child freedom.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
it gives you a reason to live after you're retired, and in the days of where I am now, approaching my 80th birthday in 2 years. I mean, I'm still very active with the cruising. We have 75 people booked for the next Alaskan cruise, and I'm hoping to get 100. I'd like to take over the ship. That keeps me so busy, and just getting that organized, you have no idea.
Yeah, I can imagine. Yeah, events like that are a lot of organizing.
And then to see the metamorphosis of what we talked about, where people see people right there 7 days a week if they want, or no days they don't want it. So that keeps me busy. And, every day easily from 10 to 1, I'm on the computer, or I'm Instagram answering people. The more closer you get, you or me or anybody who are leaders, the better it is. They feel validated. That keeps me busy. And hopefully with this COVID thing over soon, I can meet my friends and have lunch again, and plan to visit my best friend who dared to move to Georgia. I hate her. She moved to Georgia. If you're listening, I'm so mad at you.
Well, hopefully
she was in the first documentary, my heart. Moved to Georgia. I came here to Florida following her. I'm not going to Georgia.
Yeah.
So yeah, it still is. There's a lot of good things ahead. I hope healthy things ahead, because it's everything. Without your health, it's hard.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And I think we have to be grateful for all the small things, or even like I wouldn't call health a small things, but even the things we take for granted every single day, like sunshine and our health, and having people who love us, and having access to education, and having roofs over our head and stuff like that. I think we should always be grateful for the small things in life, but they're the important things in life.
Tanya, you know that I had faced cancer in 2013-14,
Yeah.
and I wrote about this. That was one of the most difficult chapters that I wrote about. There was an understanding. A lot of people say to me, getting older, how will you feel, when you're at the end of your life and there's no branches hanging with your little, darlings continuing. And it was a profound, profound lesson when I faced chemo and radiation and didn't have that, children surrounding me. But then I looked around and a lot of people didn't have that. They had neighbors, they had nurses. So it was an eye opener.
And that's the thing, just because you have children doesn't mean they're going to be there for you.
Well, can be there.
Yeah.
Right. They died, or they could be estranged, like Jim and his kids. It was just a profound, profound moment of my life.
Yeah.
That was an awakening.
We could talk about this topic for hours. I know we could. I would love to talk about it for hours, but I know you've got stuff that you've got to get to, and I've got stuff that I've got to get to. But thank you so much for leading the way, for writing for the magazine, for having these conversations, for doing everything that you do, and inspiring the rest of us to do what we do to try and keep that torch burning and spread the word as far as we can. I just think this is such an important thing and such an important movement, and grateful that you're leading the way.
Thank you, sweetheart. It's my pleasure. I love you.
I love you too. I love you too. I wish we were closer in geography, but we will get together again as soon as we can travel, for sure. I love Florida. I'd love to come over to Florida and have a little visit, because it's beautiful over there. So once all this COVID crap is gone and we can do all that, we'll definitely have to.
Okay, honey. You just take care of your sweet self.
I will.
Keep torturing.
Love it. Thank you, gorgeous.
Bye, love. Bye-bye.